Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel, and today I'm here to cover if Arsenal are really going to mess up another Premier League title. And this is a video which we're doing very sort of emergency because obviously they play against Sporting on Wednesday and City have just got another 3 points on them after their loss to Bournemouth. And I want to run through a lot of things I noticed about this Bournemouth game in the last few weeks about Arsenal, but if you do enjoy the pieces, please don't forget to subscribe. We've been doing this thing where we tell people how many percentage of our viewers aren't subscribed. We've now got that down to 75% only aren't subscribed. But if you're still one of them 1 in 4, then please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It helps us out so much, and we've got so much planned for you as well this month. But massive game this one, and we are going to be doing a longer preview on Arsenal versus Manchester City in the coming weeks, or in the coming days rather, sorry. And we're going to preview that game in totality. But I was sat there last night after watching City and the way they went about it against Chelsea, and I wanted to have a look and see if there was anything in a piece where Arsenal are actually getting a little bit worse. And as everyone knows who probably watches my pieces on this channel, I am a massive fan of Arsenal in terms of the way they go about the football. I think they get a lot of scrutiny for the boring football. I think they get bashed a little bit too much. But in the last few weeks, they are getting a lot worse, and that is not subjective viewing. Objectively, they are getting a lot worse. On your screen right now, just before we jump into everything, I have got Arsenal's per game metrics from the start of the season up to the end of December, so we can see their goals conceded, all the way down to stuff like passes completed, errors leading to shots, so on. But we can see that from January to now, per 90, they have only had 4 out of these about 20 different metrics that are up, and the only ones that are up are fast break goals, high turnovers, shot ending high turnovers, and goal ending high turnovers. And this is why I want to structure this piece as Arsenal are losing control of the Premier League title race. They are, if you want to use the term bottling, that's completely fine. But in my opinion, they are losing control of it. And the reason why I say that is because their possession is down by 5% since the turn of the year. Their goals are down, goals conceded down, shots on target down, XG, open play XG. Their shots face has gone up, their shots on target face has gone up, clean sheets are down, XG against down, direct attacks down, build-up attacks, everything is down. And they are having far less passes completed, and so on. And this is why, for me, Arsenal have become a little bit too rigid, too stodgy in the middle. And I spent the entire of this morning watching back the Bournemouth first half and a bit of the second half on the tactical cam. And I'm going to hopefully throw up some screenshots on your screen. And what I actually noticed, I was speaking about this with a few lads around my desk, was they are Arteta's body language in terms of the way he's dictating and coaching the game from the sideline. I could get what Arsenal were trying to do in the game against Bournemouth just off what Arteta was doing. Now, for me, and I think this has happened quite a lot, we spoke about it in the Carabao Cup game against Manchester City, Arsenal are looking to build up in this 4-2 with one in front, and oftentimes this one player drags down the sides like this to filter and show for the ball, whether it's Eze, Havertz, Saka's played there in recent weeks. But what happens, and Bournemouth were doing this just like City were, but a bit more reserved, is when a team looks to play just that little bit off in a 4-4-2, and they go a little bit more man-to-man, but let's say Bournemouth have left this one player in here, and there was a couple of times where David Raya was able to fire the ball right through to Havertz, but Iriola's plan was to stand off in this more passive approach and wait for the ball to be dictated where it was going to go. The wingers weren't like this, as we saw in the Carabao Cup. They were more reserved like this. And they allowed them to have all of the possession with their centre-halves, goalkeepers, their full-backs. Probably why Arteta thought Miles Lewis-Skelly was a better pick in terms of his creativity on the ball. It's a lot better when coming inside. But no one is fearful of Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Hincapié, David Raya on the ball. If you ask me, the most dangerous passer out of all of them in terms of firing a ball through the lines is probably David Raya, which is a bad thing to say because his longer distribution is brilliant. He can stab passes through the lines. But Bournemouth weren't really scared of that, and they used that Manchester City game plan in terms of having that passive front four and then waiting for the ball to be filtered off to the side to then pin and lock onto one side. So if he walks over there with the ball, we're going like that against the press. And that, for me, is where Arsenal's problem starts, because they are struggling to now find the right passes for their players to put them in the right areas. And I think At the moment, I had a little bit of a conversation last night about talking about the 22-23 Arsenal team, how free-flowing it was. They had Zinchenko on the left, Martinelli on the left, with Xhaka on the left centre mid. Then on the right, they had Saka, Ben White, Ødegaard, and them combinations, linking it all through together was Gabriel Jesus dropping in. And the fluidity in that was so good to watch. And I feel like now they are almost trying to sacrifice that free-flowingness and that football just to win a league title. And it's a really interesting predicament because if they get a league title, it does appear like they could potentially stumble over the line. And don't get me wrong, they could very much still win at the Etihad. But at the moment, they are not convincing nearly anyone with their performances. And even more interestingly, they've actually got more points than City in 2026 in the league. Like, you wouldn't think that in your head. And I think when we speak about Arsenal, and when City played last night against Chelsea and City won 3-0, I don't think a lot of people were going, what a great performance from Manchester City. I think people were going, oh, Arsenal, pressure's on. And I think because they've always spent the vast majority of their title races against City at the top of the pack, it feels like they're playing 2 Premier League games in 1 game week. When City play, if they win, then boom, it's right onto Arsenal. I have the 2026 Premier League table below here, and we can see that Arsenal have got 25 points. And this is probably the point where you thought, City start to click into gear, all that. They haven't got as many points as Arsenal. They've got fewer points. City have dropped an abundance amount of points. I think they've only won 6 out of 13 in that last 2026 period. The thing that I'm looking at the most with Arsenal right now is the running and their history in the running. So I've got since 22-23, each of Manchester City and Arsenal's points won in their last 4 run-ins. So obviously this is taking into account the game that's just been played. But Manchester City have got a 2.7 points per game in the last 3 and a bit run-ins. Arsenal have got a 1.9 points per game. Manchester City have won 26 out of their last 30 Premier League games when it comes to the run-ins against Arsenal. And I think, to be honest, this is why I think Arsenal are losing control, because they are not getting the ball through the lines. They are not suffocating teams anymore. They are having far less of the ball. Their ability to play a little bit slower is gone completely. Arsenal's direct speed from the start of the season to December, from January till now, is well up. They're playing like one of the most direct teams in the league in terms of the amount of long balls they're playing, in terms of the amount of frantic moments they are with these just clearances into the channel. They have gone from a team that is a little bit more reserved and can suffocate teams into a team that's getting frantic and psychologically look like they're panicking on the pitch. And to me, that doesn't just come from the players, it comes from the manager. Like I said before, the only stats that they have in their favour, Arsenal, this year so far, in comparison to the start of the year, is high turnovers, shot-ending high turnovers, goal-ending high turnovers, and fast break goals. That points in the direction of playing faster, being more frantic. If you compare that to Manchester City are having less shots faced. They're virtually not getting any errors leading to goals, any errors leading to shots. They are becoming a calmer team. Manchester City are having more of the ball this year. They are getting a bit more routine. Whereas it feels like now Arsenal have completely lost all that element of control. So, yeah, I'm going to show you on your screen right now so we can see. In the Premier League in 2025, from August to December, we can see that Arsenal had more possession than City. They had a little bit more directness than City, less errors leading to goals, less errors leading to shots by a country mile, and City were having more passes, more pass accuracy, all that sort of stuff. Since the January turn, Manchester City have now gone to nearly 63% of the ball, with Arsenal now at 53%. Like I said, a 5% drop. Look at the difference in Arsenal's direct speed. It's now at 1.98 metres per second. That's a jump from 1.75. They're playing faster. They are playing more frantically. Errors leading to goals. Since the turn of the year, Arsenal have had 4. They only had 1 from August to December in 2025. Errors leading to shots. Arsenal 15 errors leading to shots. They had 8 from August to December. And again, all of the passing metrics in City's favour. They are losing control, and I can't stress that enough. And the psychological aspect of, I think I've got, I'll show you on your screen right now. I've got this. So I had a look at the goals they've conceded in the last few weeks. So not bearing in mind the City game, this is just the Southampton game. On your screen right now, we've got the first goal that Southampton scored against Arsenal. Every single Southampton player is in this picture, and they are virtually all in the box, right? There are 10 outfielders and 1 goalkeeper in this picture. Martin Odegaard tries a back heel, and I think it's Leo Scienza, wins the ball on the edge of the box, and this is his first touch at 34:40. This is Scienza's first touch of the ball on this move. Fast forward it 8 seconds, and this is his last touch of the ball in this move, and he's now moved the ball on. There are only 5 players in Arsenal's half, just crossed the halfway line. There are also 5 Southampton players. And then they run towards the edge of the box, and when the finish actually goes in, there is virtually no compactness around Arsenal. There's no defensive transitions. If you go and watch the goal, Scienza's running through the pitch without having anything contested at all. And I think that is where you're seeing a little bit of the out of possession burnout for Arsenal. I've got the goal that Krupi scored against Arsenal in the game just gone at Bournemouth. I'm going to throw that up on your screen right now. And I've got plenty more to come. We can see that Arsenal are defending in that 4-4-2, low block, okay? Look at the spacing in the block. That is not what we associate Mikel Arteta's Arsenal with. And I was watching Mikel Arteta on the side, and he's going like this to Trossard, asking the block to be more compact on the ball side. But the gaps between each player are huge. And then Ryan Christie gets it, and it's a beautifully, defence line splitting ball played in behind, and it's a wonderful goal scored by Bournemouth. But when have you seen Arsenal get a line split like that? And I think the psychological aspect of Arsenal being this almost near perfect team off the ball, having next to no distance between each player, getting behind the ball faster than anyone in Europe, having that ability. I feel like it's almost that much for the players that when the results start to go against them, they're now burning out. And that goal is unlike anything I've seen from Arsenal. The Southampton goal I've just said to you there, virtually nothing on the defensive transition. It's really poor. And it doesn't help how Arteta's body language is doing the complete opposite of what the players are doing on the pitch. And I'm not blaming the players, not Arteta. I think Arteta has got a lot of things wrong recently, a lot of things. But again, the second goal, this is the winner for Southampton, a long ball. Again, you can see Arsenal nice and compact in the middle. But when Southampton charge forward with the ball and get to the edge of the box, look at the finishing picture. There are 4 Southampton players in the box, and there's only 5 Arsenal players. There's not even an Arsenal player looking to transition defensively in the picture. That is just really worrying because Arsenal are now losing what they were really good at. And then the last example I've got on your screen is probably the worst of them all. So this one is now coming in Arsenal's build-up. So we can see David Raya studs on the ball, and Miles Lewis-Skelly and Declan Rice, when Raya's got his studs on the ball, are pointing up the pitch. So we're talking about what the players are asking, each other to do. They're pointing up the pitch at Gyökeres, okay? Throw it on a couple seconds. Now we can see Arteta and Trossard both pointing at Gyökeres. They're asking Gabriel to send this ball long into the channel for Gyökeres instead of playing around at the back. Gabriel doesn't really do this. It's a really badly clipped ball. It's won by Bournemouth high up the pitch. They transition, they go through, and they score. Arteta is asking his team to go long into the channel to Gyökeres, as well as Lewis Skelly, Declan Rice, and Trossard. They're all asking them to do the same thing. For me, that isn't going to win you that many games. And we're talking about Arsenal losing control. We're talking about how they are losing possession more often. Their passing accuracy is down. They can't get touches to the better players. That is losing them the control, and it's being instructed. And that's why, for me, Arteta holds a lot of the blame, because he's asking players to do things that are losing the control we often familiarise Arsenal with. You remember Arsenal used to get hit with the stick of they have too much control sometimes, they suffocate too much, they have possession high up. When I watch Arsenal now, that's not what I'm seeing. The Man City game, the Southampton game, the Bournemouth game, that's not the Arsenal that suffocate teams and box teams in and eventually just break them down over time. They're not even getting past the halfway line. And then just to wrap up, I had a look because I was thinking in the last 5 or 6 games, it does feel like Arsenal aren't getting the touches to their attacking players, okay? So I've got the touches per 90 of the last 6 games in all competitions for Arsenal, okay? Saka, 54 per 90. Eze, 53. Madueke, 52. Havertz, 46. Trossard, 45. Martinelli, 38. Gyökeres, 25. So I was thinking, well, let's compare that to City. Bernardo Silva, 89 touches. Ryan Cherki, 83 touches. Jeremy Doku, 62 touches. They have got 3 attackers who are having more touches per 90 than any other Arsenal attacker. They are not getting the ball out of the build-up and they are not getting it into the feet of their better players. I feel sorry for players like Eze at the moment because the ball simply isn't coming through there. And the worrying thing is for me, is it's both a managerial coaching standpoint issue and a player issue for me. Because this build-up is not good enough. We've seen it against Manchester City. We've seen it against Bournemouth. They aren't splitting the lines efficiently enough. They don't have the quality in here and here to break forward with lines. Zubimendi's been criticised a lot recently, mainly because when he gets on the ball here, he takes too long. He takes too long. There was another sequence, I'll see if I can throw it up on your screen. There was another sequence where Zubimendi gets on the ball. It looks like Arsenal could counter. And he does that thing where he checks 3 or 4 different areas, turns back and then passes it to Saliba. And Mikel Arteta's going like that, but shaking his head that he's shutting down the tempo too much. And they're just conflicting ideas, really conflicting. And when you can't get the ball to your better players and you can't snap lines like that, and when Bournemouth, Southampton and City are able to just stand on the edge of your 18-yard box and go on, try and get it through us, and you don't have any answer to that, it's really poor. And I mean, I've got to say, the lack of problem solving from Arteta in the last 3 games has been abysmal. I mean, I watched the game against Bournemouth where they subbed on Trossard, Eze, Max Dowman. Okay? They then went back to this build-up pattern, this routine, where they're 4-2 and they've got Raya rolling his studs on the ball and all that. And then they still went long and attempted to force the balls down the channels to Dowman, Eze, Trossard, Gyökeres. I mean, that was after subbing off Havertz. How he's not solving that problem and he's still asking his players to go long after taking off his best aerial player up front, that looks a mess to me. Like, that looks not right. It doesn't look right. Taking off your best aerial attacker and then directing and instructing your players in your build-up to go long into the channels to players who aren't suited to it, and that costing you a second goal and losing you the game against Bournemouth. It's just really not good. And I think I'm really worried for Arsenal. I would like to think they can still do it, but as I said, we've got like a longer piece coming out of the tactical preview between Man City and Arsenal to basically decide, does that game win who the title, and how does that team win the game? So, yeah, it's very poor for Arsenal. I think they could still get over the line, but they will limp over the line, it feels like, because the performances recently are not convincing enough. They are not convincing enough. And they've got Sporting Wednesday night. I don't know what's going to happen there, obviously. But City are going to be fresh every week apart from the FA Cup. They look to be hitting form at the right time. And the way they're going about stuff is a lot calmer. It's a lot more relaxed, business as usual. They're chasing their prey. Arsenal, even the performances look shaky. The errors leading to shots, the errors leading to goals, the wasteful build-up, the long balls into the channels. It looks a bit lost. And I think City almost set a blueprint to what to do against Arsenal. The last 2 teams, Southampton a little bit deeper. But Southampton, Bournemouth and City have all shown how you can whittle Arsenal down to nothing. But yeah, really interesting. Let me know what you've made of Arsenal recently, and let me know if you do think they will stumble over the line or whether or not they might just go to the Etihad and get 3 points. But very, very interesting one for me because they are getting a lot worse on the football pitch. But yeah, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back next week for some more analysis. Thank you.